I've played thousands of hours of the best colony builders. Here are the ones that will make you forget to sleep. These 19 games will make you uninstall everything else. Some of them are so good they made me grind hundreds of hours of gameplay without ever getting bored. I'm Andrew. I've been playing construction and strategy video games for 35 years, and today I'm showing you the colony builders you must try in 2025. This video is sponsored by Instant Gaming. You'll find the discounted link for every title covered in the description. Let's start with the elephant in the room, or rather, the herd of elephants that Randy just launched against your colony, while a raid of arsonists is tying Old Maker to the bed to steal him and resell him as a slave. Rimworld is still today the absolute king of the genre. It's an extreme colony simulation on an alien planet rich with stories and challenges. The emergent storytelling and narrator structure guarantee hundreds of hours of gameplay suitable for everyone, based on experience level and desire for challenge. The title now boasts a roster of DLCs that make it probably the best and most long-lasting in its genre, not to mention a community that has literally done everything with it. There are mods for anything you can think of, and even for what you haven't imagined yet. If you've never tried it, listen to some advice, do it. You'll hurt yourself badly, but exactly, do it. But I've now spent 7 long years looking for the game that could dethrone Rimworld. Have I found it? I'm about to say something controversial. I found 18 and at least 3 surpass Rimworld in a particular area. Now close your eyes and think of going back in time. The Black Death has just ended and you've learned to move in a 3-dimensional world with the possibility of building vertically. Welcome to Going Medieval. Here you start with 3 survivors and a meadow. That's it. The rest you have to do yourself, starting by cutting trees in the most classic way, until researching the most refined techniques for making medieval armor. The game lets you bang your head on thermal management, which allows the creation of underground ice houses and gives you the possibility to build towers that will transform your miserable archers into Navy SEALs. But if you thought Going Medieval with its spike traps was hardcore, Noble Fates will make you think again. If being able to try third person doesn't bother you, if you love being surrounded by noble people and occasional cannibalism doesn't disturb you, you've found the right title. If you watched my video, the 23rd Perfect Construction video games, you'll surely remember Foundation. Well, now forget it, because apart from the low poly graphics, here you'll also have to manage colonists who get drunk, steal, have strong opinions about other races, sometimes kill each other, eat each other, and mate wildly. Sometimes they even reproduce, and you decide what role they play in your world. This title is still in early access and seems a bit like Delirium, but it works. Now let's start talking about a title that surpasses Rimworld in a specific aspect. Stranded. Alien Dawn starts with a crew crashed on an alien planet, full of hungry beasts, electrical storms, and strange diseases. No, it's not Rimworld. I know, there's a common thread. The interface is clean, the research and construction system is intuitive, random events will make you hate yourself for buying and installing the game. The graphics department is superior in general compared to Rimworld, but the fields in which this young base builder beats the master stop here. An excellent alternative if you want something modern, but not too different. If only Rimworld had the graphics of Stranded Alien Dawn. Now take Crusader Kings, put it in pixel art, add family dramas worthy of a soap opera, and you'll have Norland. It's not a Rimworld clone, but the management of relationships, betrayals, and internal feuds is hilarious. The late Empire setting gives us numerous excuses to execute traitors, declare wars, weave diplomatic plots. This title is also in early access, and judging by what players say, the devs are doing a good job. Space Haven promises to give you complete management of a spaceship wandering in space. It has a special soundtrack that helps you become one with the anguish of infinite space. But don't worry, if your smile returns for any insane reason, looking at the ship's fuel tank in reserve will bring you back to the harshness of living, and you'll start navigating madly towards the nearest system, hoping to find some resources. It's closer to faster than light than a real colony sim, but the constant survival feeling is very strong, and the colonists, as always, silly and adorable. Mind over magic is what happens when someone says, "You know what Rimworld is missing?" Harry Potter and the possibility that your colonists blow themselves up with potions. But here's the genius. You don't just manage a base, you manage a school. Your colonists have to study, learn spells, explore dungeons, and fight. It's like Rimworld enrolled at Hogwarts and graduated with honors in how to ruin players' lives using magic. Anyway, who among you since elementary school has ever thought how much I'd like to be an anarcho-capitalist mouse? What do you mean, are you normal? Well, if until now we've dressed as more or less human colonists, now it's time to unleash the big rat that's in us. And in doing so, we'll also have to review some economics and taxation books to prevent the rodent's capitalism from failing. Ratopia looks like a children's game with its cute little mice. Then you'll realize you need to manage taxes, economy, production chains, and every single rat has specific demands. I literally had to pull out the microeconomics manual, which I hadn't touched since my time at the university in 2009, to understand how to optimize my rodent society. Keplerth is a chaotic and bizarre 2D where you can build, fight, tame monsters, and modify your DNA. It doesn't have the depth of Rimworld, but has a quantity of stuff to do that can fill weeks. You directly command a colonist, and this can gather resources, craft, challenge enemies, and there are also bosses. One of the characteristics that makes it interesting is the possibility to play it with friends in cooperative. And the radioactive cows, it's a beautiful mess. I like it. Also in Clanfolk, you'll find reddish giants dealing with an alien biome. The funny thing is that it's a faithful reconstruction of medieval Scotland. The real enemy is the approaching winter and our grandmother who risks hypothermia. Clanfolk is the most realistic and calm alternative, with emphasis on family, seasonality, and pure survival. Perfect if you want a slow, silent, and more human management game. If you ask me, too few war crimes to climb the podium. If you've made it this far, it means you like exploring video games and discovering increasingly interesting titles. Subscribe to my channel and then take a look at the links I leave in the description. You might be interested in videos like 23 perfect construction video games. Stardeus is good for those who thought Rimworld is too little distressing. You'll start on a broken spaceship, without oxygen, without electricity, and with colonists in a coma. Stardeus, however, will allow you to build enormous spaceships with drones and humans, and will do it with a reasonably accessible system that doesn't punish too much the first time you play. Definitely recommended for old generation players who care a lot about substance and less about form. Necesse is a small gem carved from pixel art, with crafting, dungeons, boss fights, and NPCs to manage. Necesse is like Terraria with colony management, but much more accessible. Perfect if you want to relax, but not too much. Plus, you can play it in co-op, which makes it perfect for getting your base destroyed and blaming other players, ending decades-long friendships, which, however, is perfectly in the spirit of a colony builder. Realism, 10 out of 10. This game made me go a bit crazy, but it's worth. Amazing Cultivation Simulator is like if Rimworld moved to China, read all the Taoist philosophy books, and then decided to punish Western players for their cultural ignorance. Imagine this. Years ago, I brought it to a let's try it. And before doing it, I found myself Googling Feng Shui while elegantly enjoying my instant noodles bought at Lidl. I don't think it was an authentic Oriental experience, but it helped me get in tune. Amazing Cultivation Simulator is a management game, an RPG, a spiritual simulator, and a Chinese philosophy lesson. If you're wondering, but how do I buy all these games? I understand you perfectly. That's why I've been collaborating with Instant Gaming for a long time, the platform that allows you to buy video games very easily, and especially with huge discounts. I've left all the links in the description. Take a look and then tell me if I'm wrong. But I had promised you titles that surpass Rimworld in certain aspects, right? And here we are getting to the meat. Underestimated as a cute game, Oxygen Not Included is actually a lesson in thermodynamic engineering. You're on an asteroid forgotten by everyone. but not by your colonists. You manage gases, liquids, heat, production, water cycle, and everything can go to hell in 10 seconds. There are easier games, like Excel, but if you get into it, it becomes pure drugs. Furthermore, this title has also received lots of DLCs, and the developers never stop improving it. Great replayability, and great desperate crying when the sewers break and spill into the drinking water tank. When you install Prison Architect, you'll promise yourself, now I'll make a model prison. Then an inmate hides a file in a sandwich and half the structure goes up in flames. Old but gold. The minimalistic view hides an advanced and ruthless management system. Fun fact, originally the Rimworld graphics used Prison Architect models, but after the initial development phase, they distanced themselves, creating their own style. However, the similarity remains, like two cousins who love committing war crimes together. And now we get to the main course, the third game that surpasses Rimworld. While on Rimworld you're there managing 25 colonists, on Songs of Six you'll be governing an empire of 30,000 citizens. Songs of Six is what happens when you get carried away and decide to become a slave-holding empire with an immortal capital so large that future classical students in 2,000 years will have to study your now dead language. When you reach 10,000 inhabitants, you'll take a screenshot. At 20,000, you'll call your girlfriend to show her the screen, and she'll rightfully dump you. But you'll be happy because you'll finally have time to bring the city to 30,000 inhabitants, and you'll have an experience comparable to having 2 supercars in the garage. Here you won't manage a colony, you'll manage the evolution of a civilization. From mud huts to metropolises with social classes, religions, international trade. Do the pixels suck? Yes. Are the ideas brilliant? Absolutely. A title that changed the perception of the genre forever. Now we've reached the honorable mentions. That is, titles that aren't exactly new or that aren't exactly colony builders, but that I couldn't ignore. Kenshi is not a real colony sim, but you can build your base, form an army, and die badly in 1,000 ways. It starts as an open-world RPG and ends as a Greek tragedy with robots and limping samurai. It's chaotic, unforgettable, and legendary. Dwarf Fortress, instead, is the holy father of the genre. It inspired everything we've talked about so far, including Rimworld, but it's also one of the most inaccessible games ever. Fortunately, there's been a recent version that modernized it, but it's a title that requires time to be understood and mastered. It will throw you into a simulation capable of generating stories that no other game knows how to tell. Watch out though, once inside, you don't get out. In Battle Brothers, there's no colony. There's a company of itinerant mercenaries who get into all sorts of trouble to sustain themselves. You'll start accepting any job, from messenger to merchant guard, to then find yourself after a dozen levels raiding crypts of undead to resell their priceless loot. Be careful though, it's one of the most punishing titles ever. Don't get attached to your mercenaries, because one arrow in the eye is enough, and you'll have to bury them, not before stripping off the expensive armor you bought them. And here we are. If you've made it this far, I thank you from the bottom of my heart. It means you appreciated the whole video and that YouTube might consider suggesting this work of mine to other people. If you comment teamwork, I'll leave a little heart on your comment to let you know that I read you and that I appreciate your support. Now let me know, which titles did you already know? Which ones will you try? And above all, how many colonists died in your last save? If you liked the video, leave a like, subscribe, and take a look at the videos I leave here in overlay. I'm sure you'll like them.